Hello, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Blurb. I think it's like episode 6, I want to say. I'm hoping I got that right. So, I'm thinking today I want to talk about my August reads and September TBR, mostly my August reads. So, I want to do a good, juicy, in-depth roundup of what I read in August. I'm just going to preface by saying this is probably one of the worst reading months I've ever had in my life. I really struggled in August. I don't know what it was. I mean, I do kind of know what it was. And we'll talk about it. We will. First up, I want to mention what I'm currently reading. And that is absolutely nothing. I mean, technically, I'm listening to Mile High still. And I have soft DNF'd The Fallen. What is the actual name? The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk, I think it's called. Yeah, I am still really struggling with it. I just can't bring myself to pick it up and finish. I have soft DNF'd it. So what that means is I will come back to it. Now, I don't know what to do about Goodreads, right? Because do I just mark it off as a DNF and then go back to it? Or do I just leave it in my currently reading? Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know if I'm ever going to restart the book or if I'm just going to continue from where I was. I don't know what to do. What do people do? Because it's not like a complete DNF. It's kind of like, I will come back to you one day when I'm ready. But then will I? I know that sounds really bad, but like, I have some really good books in my September TBR. And I'm just thinking, why would I continue with a book that I'm just not loving over some really freaking good books that are on my TBR? Do you know what I mean? I just feel like, to me, that's a bit of a waste of time. So I don't know what to do. Basically, I don't know what to do. Okay. Also, August in general was a terrible month, sort of ish for me, I guess. I mean, some really good, exciting stuff. Like, obviously, I moved flat into my boyfriend, and that makes no sense. I moved into the flat with my boyfriend, which is obviously really exciting, but it did mean that I was absolutely exhausted throughout the month of August. So I'm really excited to actually start a brand new month. But the other day we realised that someone dented our car, and I just have no energy or patience with adulting anymore. Like, I don't even know what to do. I contacted these people that fix like dents and stuff. Obviously they haven't gone back to me, and I'm like, what? Like, no one wants to talk to me. We still have no internet as well. We've been here for a month. Virgin Media are absolutely shocking. Yeah, I'm basically struggling to be an adult right now. So I am so glad that I'm a reader and I can just escape my life. Yeah, do you know what? I can't imagine not being a reader. I posted a little TikTok the other day, just like some pictures. The first one said something like, oh, I'll just download this book, or I'll buy this viral book just so I have something to do on the train. This was before I was a reader. I downloaded It Ends With Us, and I was like, oh, I'll just do it, you know, something to do, whatever. That was such an event for me. That changed my whole life, to be quite honest with you. Now I'm such a big reader. I'm so passionate about books, which is crazy. My mum has always been a massive reader, can I just say? Like, she has always read, and she always used to look at me and go, why do you not read? Like, I'm such a big reader. And I used to think, like, they're just words on paper. Like, I don't understand the fun of it. But now I'm like, that is literally the rudest thing you could say to someone. Anyway, I feel like I needed to just ramble with you guys because you guys are my besties, the 10 listeners that I have. And half of them are probably my family. So, hi. I'm going to be talking about my August reads. Grab yourself a hot drink. It is now September. If you are just sitting there chilling and you can see me on YouTube, hi. But if you are listening to me on Spotify or Apple, whatever, and you're driving or you're cleaning or you're just busy doing something, then obviously don't just start making a coffee, because you can't. But I mean, you could. Depends what you're doing. You could still make a coffee. So my first book that I finished was actually Ruthless Empire by Rena Kent. And do you know what? Sorry, I'm just really excited to actually talk to you guys in depth, because all my TikTok videos and / on Instagram, they're much shorter. I don't really go in a lot of detail because otherwise the video would be so long. So I'm just really excited to actually like delve into the books a little bit more. Hopefully I'm actually going to remember what these books are, because my memory, shocking. Anyway, Ruthless Empire by Rena Kent. That is book 6 of the Royal Elite, which is the first series of like her world, Rena Kent universe, right? And the reason why I'm reading it is not because they're like amazing books, but because I just love reading books in order and getting the backstory of characters, because then I feel like I'm really connected with the whole universe, and I just love that. I love being part of the big universe. with that being said, this whole series, I think I've got one more book to go, but it's more of like a what do you call it, like a follow-up of all the characters. I don't really like the series that much. Like, this is real trash, okay? Like, and to be fair, it's like my guilty pleasure in a way, because part of me is like, I actually really don't like this series and I think it's absolutely awful. Why am I wasting my time? And then the other half of me is like, actually, this is just fun and it's just like a silly, goofy time. Do you know what I mean? This is set in the UK and it's set predominantly in, I think it's like surrounding areas of London, because they go to like a school, like a college, whatever they call it. It's not in like central London, it's like on the outskirts, but they can easily go into London, I'm pretty sure. I don't actually remember the name. I don't even know if the location's real, to be honest, or if Rena Ken just made it up. I don't even know where to begin. It's just so cringe, okay? And I've said this about all the books. They act a little bit too American for me, considering it is set in the UK. Is Rena Kent, where is Rena Kent from? I feel like Rena Kent is American because the whole series gives US. It does make me laugh though, because the first few books in that series, like the word mate was just severely overused, and I was like, this is too much. And also like the whole like making it obvious that they like tea. You can just tell that the author is surely not British. Like, it's not that big of a deal that we like tea, but I feel like a lot of other countries make it into like this huge deal. We just drink tea, but it's not like this magnificent like big deal when someone invites you for a cup of tea. Or like in one of the books, I remember they proper went into a bit of depth about the tea, and the FMC was like, oh, my uncle makes the best tea in the world and it has to be made by this and this and this, and like, oh, tea is just so important in the family. I'm like, oh mate, get a grip. Like, it's a cup of tea, like it's not that deep. And also the kind of like school culture is OTT. Now, I don't know what it's like in America. I've never even been to America, right? But I can only compare to the classic American chick flicks or series that are like, you know, for the young, older teenagers, young adults sort of vibes. Yeah, I can only gather what it could potentially be like in America through TV, basically. Imagine like a young adult series that is set in school, and they find like football the most important thing in their entire life, and like they're so serious about it. That is what it is, but in the UK. And I'm like, again, it's not that deep, and like I don't know, I'm basically, it's just giving too much America for me. And on top of that, they think the most powerful people ever, considering they're literally at school. It is cringe. Like, it is hella cringe. It's kind of like a bully romance. So if you don't really like a bully romance, then this is definitely not going to be for you. But the MMCs absolutely hate and despise the FMCs in every single book. There's always a reason, right? And it's always so dramatic. Ruthless Empire was actually probably my favorite out of them all. So I did rate it 3 stars, and I've actually sort of changed my mind about the earlier ones, because I think I rated them all, the first 3 stars. They're like 2.5 now. Like, the last one was actually quite good, okay? The MMC in this one is actually my favorite, because he's probably the kind of darkest in the sense of what his interests are. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're just a little bit more different than the others. I actually really like the FMC, and I always liked the FMC because she was very, very misunderstood in the earlier books, and they just work really well together. And the MMC in this one comes across not too cringy, like I think the others really do, whereas the MMC across all the books, actually, he doesn't really come across overly cringy. So I'm a big fan of that, basically. I rated it 3 stars. Fun fact, it's more like stepsister, stepbrother, but not really. I am going to continue with the Arenaverse, but I just don't know if I'm going to read all of the books or just kind of pick and choose what ones I think I'd want to read. Then I read The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. So that is Broadbent, Carissa Broadbent, and besties. Okay, I rated this 3.75 stars. I did enjoy it, I did, but I'm really struggling with these books, okay? And I'm really struggling with the one after this one, which is The Fallen. So I don't really know if it's me, if it's the books, maybe it's both, I don't know. But there's something about this sort of duology within the series that I'm not overly drawn towards. And do you know what? I kind of realised this the other day. I find it a little bit repetitive. I was speaking to one of my besties about it, and she's I think, is she still reading or has she just finished? But she was also struggling. It is quite samey. And what's annoying is Chrissa Broadbent is such a good author. I really do love her as an author. The writing's really good. Like it's beautiful, but not in like a poetic sort of way like Powerless by Lauren Roberts is. It's more just like, it has like a little bit of a magical twang, a little bit of more like just lovely writing. I don't know, sometimes I do just kind of get lost in her writing a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, and sometimes I struggle to picture the world. But that might just be me, it might not be like her writing, because the first two books I really loved in this series. Like honestly, The Servant that Wings the Night is one of my all-time favourite books. It just hit so well. But I think the whole trial element is now overused in her books. And I really hope that the future books of hers are not going to be like a trial format, because even though these aren't necessarily like full-on trials, it has that kind of trial format, that element. And as much as I love a trial book, I think it does get really repetitive. So this actually is part of like a duology within the series, and this follows a separate FMC to the first two books of the Nyaxia series. I do really like the this FMC in the first two books, but I'm not obsessed with her in her own books, and I don't know why. I don't dislike her, but I don't click with her as much, whereas I loved her in the first two books. I thought she was a lovely addition to the whole series, and now the books are following her, I'm just not as interested, but I think I will get back to The Fallen. Next is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. So this was my jar pick for August, and it was author I'd never read. I've never read an Abby Jimenez book. Now, this is probably one of the most disappointing books I personally read, but it can also be partly my fault. So listen, I have heard so many amazing things about Abby Jimenez and about Part of Your World specifically as a book. So many amazing things. Like the way that people were talking about this romance book, it made it sound like it's the most life-changing book. Like you will finish reading it and you will see the world differently and you will think differently. That did not happen for me, like at all. I don't really understand what the hype is. I initially rated it 3-star. I've actually dropped it to 2-star because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I actually didn't really enjoy it. So why am I rating it 3-star? 3 stars to me is like, I did enjoy it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it, you know? Whereas 2 stars for me is kind of like, it's not awful, but like, it's not good, you know? I was bored for probably about the first 50% of the book, and I don't even know why I carried on, to be honest, because I should have DNF'd. Not in like I mean, the second part was a lot better, so I don't regret not DNFing, but like looking back, if you're not enjoying a book by 50%, like why are you still reading? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think I just had very different expectations. I had these really high expectations that it's going to be like this really beautiful, emotional love story that I'm going to look back on and think, wow, amazing, 10/10, wish I could reread. It changed my outlook on everything, on romance and on life, and it really didn't do any of that. It didn't leave anything in my heart, in my brain, in my thoughts. Nothing. I don't know why this is like a 5-star, even 6 stars for some people. Am I missing something? I don't know, like what is going on? I think maybe August for me in general just wasn't the best, and I just really wasn't enjoying books. Not like books, I was enjoying reading, but I was really hard to please in August. So it's fine. Am I going to continue with the series? Maybe. A lot of people said that this one's the worst one out of the 3, which really, I'm really confused because this book was so raved about. But it basically follows an MMC and an FMC who meet really early on, and they have a one-night stand. They're completely different. They live in completely different worlds. She's very rich and successful, and she has a lot of pressure to remain that way by her family. And he is kind of the opposite, where, I mean, he still has a lot of pressure to do well and keep up what he has been doing, but like, he lives in like a small town, like everyone likes him, he's really helpful and lovely, but like he doesn't make a lot of money. They really struggle to kind of find the line as to like when to stop seeing each other, because the future isn't going to work out for them. On the side of that, you've also got like quite a few deeper topics, which I got kind of excited about because I was like, oh, here we go, like this is where like the emotions begin. And I just don't think it was done right. So she is with someone that is, I don't know if I can say the words online, but not a good person, right? Not physically, but emotionally. So she's also battling that, trying to get away from him. And then there's also a side story of, I think it was his cousin, I think, is in a also relationship that is bad but physically, and they sort of help her, but they didn't really delve into a lot into that story. So there are like elements that are a little bit deeper, and there's also like pleasing your parents, knowing what to do in life in general, like all of that stuff. But I just don't think it was done in a way that I was expecting it to be. It kind of felt a bit more like a side story, and the main element was them sort of, oh, I do like you, but we can't be together. And that was kind of it, like the whole back and forth. I just found it a little bit boring, and I was like, okay, just get on with it. I don't know if it's because I just wasn't invested in the characters, so I kind of was like, oh, whatever, like stop moaning. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed, but I will obviously read more Abby Jimenez books because they are really good from what people are saying. I just need to change my expectations, because I was going in there thinking it was going to be like this life-changing cute romance, but with like deep emotional topics, and actually it was just purely a cute romance palette cleanser with like slight different topics on the side. So now that I know what to expect, I'm hoping that the rest of the books I will enjoy a lot more. And then I read Ricochet, which I loved so much more. So Ricochet is the second book of the Addicted series, the whole like Calloway Sisters universe. I'm so late to the game with this series. I know this series blew up a really long time ago. I thought it would be a good idea to read this series before I read The Boys of Tommen, because I feel like once I read The Boys of Tommen, I'm probably not going to really love this as much. I know The Boys of Tommen is really emotional and there's a lot going on. I just wanted to read this series first and really enjoy it before I read The Boys of Tommen, really heavy stuff. And I read Ricochet, enjoyed it so much more than Addicted. I think that is now picking up a little bit, okay? So if you have read the first book, Addicted, and you didn't like it, have a go at the second. You might still not enjoy it, but like, I definitely did enjoy it a lot more. Like if you like the kind of messy back and forth, I don't say that toxic, because this one wasn't really toxic, but like they're obviously dealing with addictions, right? So it's more like, I think the romance in this book in particular is kind of put to the side a little bit, and it's more focused on like the addiction and how the FMC is dealing with her addiction. And I just think it focuses more on like the mental health side, which I really appreciated. And it was just a little bit more interesting. There was a lot more going on as well. I felt like in the first book it was very repetitive. It was the same thing over and over again. And like you kind of met new characters, but they were the ones that actually were more entertaining. I didn't really care about the main characters in the first book, whereas in this one I actually did start to care more about her. The downside is that the main MMC isn't really in this book much, and I did really miss him, but still, it was really different. I think like it felt a little bit more mature. There was, like I said, there was a lot more going on. I think the second characters, the side characters, were a lot more invested, and they were around a lot more, and they made it a bit more fun as well. There's a really funny scene in there that I actually physically laughed, and that is really hard for me to get to do. So I rated it. As soon as that made me laugh, I was like, yep, okay, this is definitely so much better. It was just a lot more interesting. And I think the third book is quite highly rated, actually. Comparing it to the first two, it's quite highly rated on Goodreads, so I'm really excited to read that. I will definitely be reading that. The last book that I finished was Time of Your Life by Jessa Hastings. I'm a huge fan of Jessa Hastings' writing. I am. You will know that I absolutely love Magnolia Park's universe. I even really loved The Conditions of Will. I rated that 5-star. Time of Your Life was probably the worst one I've read so far, but I don't think it's as bad as people are saying it is. A lot of people are comparing it to Magnolia Parks and BJ, and I do kind of get it. Like I get the comparison, because it is very much about toxic relationships and toxic behaviors, tropes that we might not all particularly love, but also it is kind of done differently. Like the love with them is very insta-lovey. It's about their kind of famous status and their famous lives. I know Magnolia and BJ are kind of like famous as well, but they're famous in like a different way, whereas the FMC here is a model, the MMC here is a singer in a band that's also like huge at the minute. It's not just about the romance, it's about them navigating lives, being so famous, and also just like finding someone that they love whilst being famous. Now with Time of Your Life, I will say I don't think it's written the most beautifully compared to other books. Like I think Magnolia Parks and Daisy Hates is written so beautifully, in my opinion, that I fell in love with the books pretty much straight away. I know it's messy writing, it's not perfect in terms of like grammar and the words that are used, but I think the book quotes and like the comparisons that Jessa has in those books are just, I'm obsessed. And the whole series makes it just, the way that it's written, it makes it feel like the characters are so real that they're just going to be sitting right next to you, just going to walk past them in London. Do you know what I mean? Time of Your Life, I did kind of find it a little bit annoying because the MMC is Mancunian and I love a Manchester accent, don't get me wrong. I lived in Manchester, absolutely love and adore it. But not only are his chapters written in like his accent, he is a little bit all over the place as well. So he uses a lot of slang and it's really difficult because I don't know whether Jessa kind of overdone it a little bit with the accent and the phrases that were used. But maybe she's just trying to like portray him as like, you know, really like solid Mancunian and that's it, you know. I don't know, that it just kind of got a little bit on my nerves. But also he is as a character a bit all over the place, a little bit like messy, and he has like really toxic habits and stuff. So it wasn't just like his accent that annoyed me, it was just like him in general. I was a bit like, all right, like calm down, like you don't need to be so like angry, you know, relax. I did still enjoy the story, but I wasn't like absolutely invested until pretty much the very end, which does tend to happen a lot with like romance series. If it's like a standalone and I'm not invested by like, I don't know, quite early on, then what's the point? Do you know what I mean? But because it's a series, I definitely wanted to continue and I feel like it has got potential for it to be really good. It is, like I said, with first books, it's hard because you're never going to be as fully invested as you will later on. It's the same with Magnolia Parks. I think the first book is probably the worst rated. It's definitely the most disliked whenever I see videos, and it gets better and better, doesn't it? So I do want to give this series a fair shot like I did with Magnolia Parks and just see where it takes me and see where it goes, because I do see a lot of potential. And like I said, I love Jessa Hastings' writing anyway. She did help me get out of my slump, so that's something. I wouldn't say it's like a must read at the moment, but who knows, it might get better and then I'll be like, besties, you need to read the first book because the later ones are freaking great. Okay, so let's see what happens. They're all my reads in August that I finished. The one that I read, which I just finished at the beginning of September, is Songlight. By Moira Buffini, I want to say. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing the name right, but wow. Okay, one of the book besties recommended me this book and I was a bit unsure just because I was a little bit still feeling funny from my reading slump, but I was like, do you know what, let's just go ahead with it, let's give it a go. Let me tell you, I freaking love this book and I cannot wait for book 2. I think my book bestie has read book 2. Lucky thing, I think that comes out in like October. This is a dystopian book, and what I love is it's not really on the romance, which is so bizarre to me because I feel like every single book that I read, no matter what genre it is, there's always romance in it. Whereas in this one, it kind of started off with a little bit of romance, but actually majority of it is not. And I really, really love that. And like I said, it is dystopian. There's a lot of politics. You learn why. Do you know what? Actually, no, do you learn why? Maybe not that much, but there's just certain things that happen that just breaks your heart that something like that could actually happen in the real world. Like obviously it is fantasy as well, dystopian fantasy. So the dystopian side is because of certain powers that people have. The rest of it is real life. Do you know what I mean? It's something that could happen or could even be happening in other countries. And I'm just like, this is wild. So I honestly love this book and I would definitely recommend everyone to read. I will talk about it in a bit more depth, I think, in my next roundup, just because I didn't really finish it in August. I did finish it in September and I want to get my thoughts on it together and really prepare to talk about this book because I genuinely think it is so good. I only have one note on this, and that is the sentences can be really freaking short a lot. And I don't know if other people have noticed, but yeah, sentences are super short. The way that it's written is quite basic in some instances, but then it's also quite beautiful in others. It's quite, I don't know, it's kind of random. That is the only kind of note that I have, but aside from that, like I honestly really adore this series. I mean, the series is first book and I really adore the story and like what it's about, and also like the dystopian elements and like what is happening to these people and what they believe in and stuff. Like I love it. So I would definitely recommend reading that, but I will talk about it a bit more in another episode and obviously on my socials as well. Like I said, I just want to get my thoughts proper together before I talk about this book because It is hella good. Okay. And that is kind of all I read in August. Do you know what? In the end, I think I read like 6 books. I missed a whole book. Besties, I missed Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. Okay, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, solid 4-star by Carissa Broadbent. Absolutely loved it. It's meant to be like a novella, but it's just a normal sized book. Okay, I don't know why authors love to call novella books novella when they're not novella books. Do you see what I mean? Loved it. Oh, the premise is so good. It reminds me of The Night and the Moth, I think it's called, which is funny because one of my best friends, she read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror before reading The Night and the Moth. So when she read The Night and the Moth, she was like, oh, it kind of sort of reminds me of Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. The premise is really interesting. So there's in the kind of Crowns of Nyaxia series, she's in, I don't want to say clan, but it's not a clan. What is it? Anyway, she basically can't see. So she's got like this wrap around her eyes, and the way that she sees is kind of through like threads. Really freaking cool. Really freaking cool. And she ends up meeting someone who is basically trying to take over, and that's kind of it. I'm not really going to tell you a lot about this one because I do think going in blind is actually a good thing, but solid 4 stars. Would recommend. It's long enough, it's not too long, it's not too short. The romance I did really enjoy as well, and just everything about it, like it was just so interesting throughout. I didn't really get bored. It was good. It was really good, and I can't wait to read about them in the future books. I feel like they'll actually be quite good. Now that's everything that I read in August, okay? My TBR for this month is really exciting, so I'm going to quickly go through it. I'm going to finish Mile High, but I'm listening to it. So I'm going to finish listening to Mile High. I don't want to DNF it because I saw some people say that the ending is kind of important for the rest of the books. So I'm just going to listen. It's fine. I'm not mad about it. I mean, I'm really bored, but whatever. Then I will try and finish The Fallen. Okay, I'm not going to promise that one. That's not like set in stone, but I'm just writing it down to remind me that I am in the middle of the book, and hopefully I will finish it. Addicted for Now, which is the 3rd book of the Addicted series, the Calloway sisters. I definitely want to read that. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Like I said, the ratings look really good, so I feel like this is where the series really gets, like, you know, picked up and people are actually loving it. And then, this isn't in the order that I'm going to read, by the way, but I'm also going to read Diebound. My book has arrived. You can see it right here. And because I've got the physical copy now of the hardback and I have it on my Kindle, I can't not read it, okay? So I am going to read it. I'm so excited. I'm also really nervous because a lot of people love this. They rate it 5-6 stars. So I need to be in the right headspace for it. And I'm getting there now. I'm feeling a little bit more into reading again. I'm really excited. So I can't wait. Happy Place by Emily Henry. Now, I haven't read an Emily Henry book in a really long time, and Happy Place was actually my jar pick. It was like the first book on my Kindle library. I'm probably going to read it like early on in September just because I think it is quite a summary book. So I want to get that one done out the way whilst it's still not like super cold in the UK. And I feel like I could do with like a cutesy little romance palette cleanser, and Emily Henry's really easy to read, so I can't wait. Then we've got Book of Azrael. Oh, do you know what? I'm so nervous to read the series because I've heard such good freaking things that if I don't love it, I'm going to be so disappointed. Like, I will come at all of you and ask you why you've been rating it 5 stars when it's not, okay? And shoving it down people's throats. But we'll see. I really hope it's going to be a 5-star for me because it sounds right up my street. Something that I would absolutely love and adore, so better be freaking good. And then I have Guild by Raven Kennedy. Now, I'm really nervous about this one, okay? Because this series was so raved about for a really long time. It looks so interesting. But then I've seen recently people absolutely hate it. And I'm like, what is going on? I think there's one book that literally has nothing. Like, it gives nothing. There's nothing going on. People are like, what is the point of it? You may as well just cut it out completely. And it puts people off reading the rest of the series. So we'll see. I feel like a lot of series has that one book that kind of is a bit like meh, but people absolutely despise that book. So I'm like, wow, okay. Is it really that bad? So we'll see, but it is on my TBR. I don't know if I'm going to get to reading it. I'm going to be honest, like, as much as it's on my TBR, it's the one series that I'm not like absolutely keen to read anymore. I used to be, but now I'm just like a bit meh about it. I don't know. We'll see. I might give it a go and fall absolutely in love with it. But these are my books. So there are some good freaking good books in here. It better be a good month. And I'm so excited for September, the bear months. It's going to be all like cutesy and wholesome, and we're going to be sitting under a blanket with hot drinks and reading, and I'm so excited. I can't wait. Yeah, well, that's it. That's it, besties. Thank you so much for listening to me or watching me on YouTube. Don't forget to give me a little like or a little rating on Spotify, please and thank you. Love yous.